Today we're going to talk about losing normal. And you know what just played through my head? Was losing normal also a name of a movie? It might have been. I don't remember. It sounds familiar.
Eric likes to watch movies and a lot of TV.
Well, it had nothing to do with coming up with the name Losing Normal. I just suddenly...
Leaving Normal.
Oh, that was Leaving Normal. That's right. Well, we not only left it, we may have lost it. But anyhow, and the concept today is we're not going to do as much talking, explaining, leading. I'm trying to avoid the word teaching, infusing, as we normally do. Instead, we're really going to discuss a little bit of the concept of losing normal. And then you are actually going to uncover your own insights in today's exploration, right?
Yeah. What we want you to kind of just feel into this understanding in whatever way you receive this. Some of our greatest healing comes through the loss of things that we would never have willingly surrendered. Each of us, in a way, has experienced this understanding at some point in what we'll call the path of life, the path of this extraordinary expression of God and love and infinite intelligence. And when we go through what I refer to as, feeling out of control, no longer being in control, the idea that it would bring about some of the most innate, most important healings of this lifetime that we're leading takes a bit of encouragement and forgiveness sometimes, even within the heart. We talked a little bit this morning in Solomon about the mind can know 10,000 things, but the heart knows one reality. And in this way, our identity is constantly in the presence of a roller coaster. And I do want to speak to Renee Sugar because Renee, yes, brought up something so beautiful about listening. She considers one of her, I would say, most important and most familiar aspects of herself is that she's become adept at listening. And so the unveiling of that which we would never surrender in the body-mind is often the listening of our very being. And it comes in so many forms and in so many ways. So we really wanted to explore that today as a family, as a group of friends. Again, these gatherings are not organized as student teachers. You are not students and we are not teachers. We are a group of friends willingly coming together to know the true nature of our being and consciousness itself. So
part of what we are going to explore today is the concept that I think a lot of us, actually, if we look back, I believe every one of us have experienced that some of our greatest healings come through the loss of something we would never necessarily have willingly surrendered. Each of us have experienced this already, whether it's now, whether it's far earlier in our life. And some of you may be going through this now, but the important thing that I want to touch on is, as we understand this, then does healing through intention necessarily bring about the highest healing? I know there's a lot of focus of intention in healing, but if some of our greatest healings have come about through the loss of things we might never have willingly agreed to, then those things probably are not showing up in our intentions, are they?
Yeah, I would love you to just restate that again, because that's a big one.
some of our greatest healings come through the loss of some things that we would never have willingly surrendered.
Right?
And as I said, we've experienced this, everyone, at some point in our lives, at some point in our lives, and many of us are going through that now. Even some of us in the fear of the anticipation, but if that's the case, and if we really look at it, I think we'll find that, then is healing through intention a very popular approach by, many people involved in healing today. Is healing through intention really designed to bring about the highest healing? Because if we never willingly would have surrendered something and the loss of that became some of our highest healings, then healing through intention would not have included those things that we wouldn't willingly have released.
And I think the word intention, just because we use it in so many different ways, we don't want to unilaterally say intention healing, or I think the area to explore within ourselves is how much attention are we putting on intention? And with everything, there's a bit of balance, and that, how much I love Rupert Spira. I'm just going to bring one sentiment to you from Rupert. Rupert says, thinking changes the appearance and experience. And we need to be thoughtful enough to not allow experience to eclipse the knowing of our own being. In other words, when you come out of what you are not, everything comes out to say, I am. And there is I find art and poetry to be such a beautiful way to express beingness. We fall into it. But there's a deep center truth about coming out of what we are not. When we surrender, willingly or unwillingly, we are moving through something that is perhaps no longer. And in that, is that the presence?
And I was just going to add, and is what we used to call normal really, let's say, fit for our identity today? And would we ever have released all of it?
What is a portal? It's a doorway to transformation.
It's an expansion of our online essentials, our level 1, an 8+ hour e-learning course.
The portal helps us discover our roadblocks that may be stopping us from living our fullest potential.
How does the portal help bring about these benefits? Easy to follow short segments with interactive exercises, information acquired not only through the mind, but through interaction with the frequencies themselves. It includes the 8 hours of the online essentials course,
2 key chapters, one on love and one on healing, from the new series, The Inner Compass. It brings the possibility for instant transformation, healing, and the evolution of each and every one of us.
Willingly.
And in some way, identity, in the beautiful and creative role that we play in our lives, again, as the experience of the infinite on behalf of the infinite, we in a way confront at that intersection the depths of love and worth, self-worth. And so many of us early, Harry recorded a beautiful piece around his nephew who's only 4 years old and has had immense circumstances between his parents divorcing and a new parent coming in and going to school for the first time. And Harry referred to the circumstances of his 4-year-old nephew's Jay's life beginning. He was observing a dimming in the beingness of the child that isn't conditioned through intention, doesn't know that language quite yet. And where in this can we observe what each of us moves through in life, the stripping away of what we would call normal? Two parents, and you wake up in the morning and there they are. I mean, I don't know who has had a normal, what we would call typical normal life. TV expressed that back in the 50s. It was a little odd.
And
Leave it to Beaver.
society enforced it,
Yes.
and you were not rewarded for being who you were if it didn't match the societally imposed norm, of a mother, a father, and what is it, 2.3 kids or whatever that number is.
So this is the beginning of a month. As I mentioned, we're going to be just using the whole month to play in the nature of healing. And
our focus went funny. Let's see what that was all about. Okay. Release.
We're back.
Must have been my lenses.
And so all these Wednesday gatherings are going to kind of move through a wave of ways to inquire. So let's go on. You
we are going to go on. One thing, Jillian, that you said last night that I really liked was, with the anticipation of something being taken away that we never would have given up comes a whole mirage of things. So, as things have been surrendered that we wouldn't have willingly, the illusion, the mirage, shall we say, falls away. And that's really kind of cool. So
pen and paper.
Pen and paper would be a really good thing.
I know we are all, including Eric and I, we're all moving through this exercise or play today. So let it be very personal for each of you. Cece, make sure you have a pen and paper. You're doing it with us too? Okay, perfect.
Good. Okay. So to explore this, we're going to take you through a series of 5 questions. Some may feel connected to one another, some may not, and we'll explain that. So what I'd like you to do first, we'll just do this one at a time. 1, I'd like you to write down 1 or 2 things that you lost in life at any point in time that you would not have willingly, intentionally let go of. Now, if there's a third one on your head somewhere that's bouncing around, there's not a rule to this. 1 or 2 is an approximation. Okay, so take about 2 minutes right now to really explore and put down a couple of things that you like.
We're just going to restate the question one more time. 1 or 2 things you lost in life that you wouldn't have intentionally let go of.
Take your time where we can see who's still writing, so relax. Okay, here comes the second question. I'd like you to list 1 or two things, again, one or two is an approximate, one or two things you gained from each of those losses that you just listed. So if you wrote down 4 losses, see if you can write down, 4 to 8 things, just one or two things for each loss. You only wrote one loss, great.
And to qualify the word gained, because we have many people whose native languages are all varied. The idea here is one or two things that you received.
It does not need to be tangible.
No.
Could be an insight and understanding, just, something that you would not have received had you not gone through that loss. Again, take your time. We can see who's still writing. Be comfortable. Don't feel rushed.
We had some people just join us. If you're new to the room, please bring out a pen and paper or something you can write with, and we'll go over the questions again.
So for those of you who are new, I will repeat the question. First of all, please write down just maybe one or two things in life that you've lost, you don't have any longer, that you would not intentionally have let go of. And take a minute or two to write that. Written down those one or two things that you lost that you wouldn't intentionally have let go of. Next to them, I'd like you to list, or anywhere on the page, one or two things you gained, you acquired in life, in concepts, in awareness or something from each of those losses.
Okay. The third part that we're going to explore, and you can just let that sit and be. We'd like you to consider and write down next to each of the things that you lost, that were taken, that you surrendered again without
Unwillingly, yeah.
Well, That's a big word, but
Well, okay, but you wouldn't have intentionally or willingly let go of. Next to each of those things that you wouldn't have, or by them, would you have taken them back knowing that what you gained from that loss, you would have to return? In other words, you may have gained an insight, a career, a relationship with maybe a friend, a partner, a child, or anything else. Would you trade what you gained to get back the original thing that you lost seemingly unwillingly?
we're just saying this in many ways so that different people hear things in different ways. We're not attempting to lead you here. And this is an inquiry and a contemplation.
So take another 2 minutes or so. Again, we can see you. We see those little thought clouds coming out of your ears, and we're going to wait until most of those subside.
And if there is nothing that you recognize that came from the loss itself that you've identified, that's okay. You know, this may be very new. This could be very fresh. But you can explore the presence that you are in this loss, the beingness that is revealed when a piece of what we'll call our identity or a piece of a manifestation is unwillingly surrendered by the body mind. So
let me give you my simple way that I do. If I can't think of something that I gained from a loss or something that I lost to answer these questions, I might say, okay, but if I did know what it was, what might it be? And then just see whatever comes to your mind. Just write it down. No one's going to see it but you.
And to reiterate the third part, if you had the choice, and I use that word very clearly, if given the choice to get back what you unwillingly surrendered, would you,
knowing that you would have to give up what you gained from that surrender or loss,
right,
to get it back? Okay, now, don't even bother trying to relate this next question to the other. Just answer the question for the sake of the question itself, okay? You know, pretty much all of us have had the experience at one time or another where we caught ourselves thinking, oh, if I could just go back in life and make that particular decision over again, here's how I would do it differently. We've all thought about something we might have done differently in our life for whatever reason. So if you had that opportunity to go back in your life and change one of the decisions that you made, do you feel the same way now about taking that opportunity after answering the above questions that you did before? In other words, would you so easily jump and make that change? So if you could change something in your life, let's say, if I could change something in my life, a decision I made, would I? Yes or no? And is that answer in integrity with the other questions and the way you answered them with us a minute or two ago?
Take another 30 seconds or so, and then we're going to open your voices to share here. If you'd like to share, would you mind just putting your hand raised up so Cecilia can call on you?
Okay, we do have Lexi. Lexi, please unmute.
Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Not a word.
Great exercise. Would you like me just to go ahead and share?
Please.
Okay. There are so many things that I could have listed in my life that I have lost. So this is a really good exercise. But I believe the last thing would have been in 2013 when my son and I were involved in a motor vehicle accident. And it would have been, that was my 10th motor vehicle accident, my son's first. And then I had to have 7 surgeries within 2 years after that to put the bones and ligaments and everything back together again. And I wasn't able to heal. And then I started looking, and I saw the living matrix with Dr. Eric healing a child who had cerebral palsy. And I knew that's what I needed to have. And so I went online and I saw that there were a lot of different locations, that there were seminars, but none of them were within my state in Colorado, and or within my price range, because I wasn't able to work since 2013 and was on disability, and my son was too. And so I had lost the ability to work. I'd lost the ability to walk. I had, it was my 4th traumatic brain injury. So I had aphasia, couldn't find words. so I couldn't talk well. So my whole ability to function had been so limited. So that's why I was searching so much. And then it was in 2017, March of 2017, where I was feeling very suicidal, because literally, even my relationship with my son, my parents had taken over so much that I didn't feel that I even had my connection with my son.
Lexi,
And then,
Lexi,
go ahead.
just because there are so many of us who might choose to be sharing, what I'd love all of us to do is just sort of, because I mean, your story is very important, but I'd like us to condense what we're doing to just recapping the questions. What did I lose? What did I gain? And would I trade it back? You know, and other times if we go into deeper discussions, and other times we can do that. But what did I lose? What did I gain? Would I take back what I lost, knowing I would have to give up what I gained? So those are basically the questions. Can you just this out a little bit?
So
thanks.
that's what I lost. What I gained was the portal, reconnective healing, and then my connection to reconnective healing. And I, so that was incredible. And would I ever trade that? No, I would never trade it back.
So the last question then was, what we're going to ask you is, would you go back in your life then and change decisions that you made?
No, I would not.
Right.
So this is I mean, and again, Lexi's story is one of heroic awareness and compassion, but I want to just encapsulate that. So physical loss, emotional loss, mental loss, spiritual loss,
relationship loss.
And really these are the foundations so often for how we perceive we are moving in the life progress of our life. And what you gained, I'm not going to suggest, I'd love you to consider that reconnective healing is not a thing. So we wouldn't say we gained reconnective healing, but the direct awareness that came from your inquiry and curiosity around the reconnective healing experience has offered now to you what? I want you to speak about the one or two gains that you would say, because you're very absolute in saying you wouldn't trade it. If I were just a person on the street listening to you, that I would say that doesn't make any sense to me. You lost everything. So what is the perception of what you've gained that you wouldn't trade and give back, even to have avoided all of this mental, physical, emotional pain?
It's my awareness of my knowingness in the I am through the energy, light, and information and the reconnective healing experience.
Okay. So
I'm trying to be brief again.
No, it did lovely. And you will all come to get to know Lexi. Lexi is a really active member of this group of friends and coordinates many things. And all right, my love, who else would like?
We
Let's
actually
just
have several hands raised, and they all pretty much came at the same time. I'm going to go with Hans because we haven't heard from Hans for a while. Please, Hans, unmute.
Hi, thank you. Regarding the first question, okay, I have three children. The older one is 28. There's the second one who is Cecilia, she's 25, and the third one is Vivian, who is 22. But Vivian was born with cerebral palsy. Okay, so that was 22 years ago. So I could say that at that time, my wife and me, we lost our normal life. Okay, you can imagine all the challenges that was what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure to say that the principal thing that we gained was consciousness. All this situation with Vivian led to deep questioning. Okay, our religious beliefs and our way of life, and all the things surrounding our normal life at that time. So I guess we thank God we started a path of being more and more conscious, more aware of ourselves and our surroundings. Yeah, and so that led to a deepening to know ourselves. Would I give it back? No, definitely not. Okay. And of course, this questioning and this searching also led us to the reconnection. Okay. So I guess it's also one of the benefits of this journey. Would I change something? If I could go back, I would like that my daughter be a normal daughter, but with the condition that I would like also to gain that awareness.
So what happens if we would make a decision to change something in our lives? Then we really do want to be certain that you've gained absolutely nothing of value from it. And I seriously doubt that.
Yeah, of course. Yes,
seriously doubt that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just was a wish, but of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to, and then for all of us, again, we're transparently sharing parts of our very personal lives. So when you, after speaking about your daughter, the gift of, because of her being the impetus, being born different from, and the family losing normal, and the journey into consciousness and the things that have come, and still saying, if I could, I would change the dynamic. I think what you were saying is in the way that she came into the world.
Yes.
But not really. And I want us to look at how delicate that level of trust in our being has to be to walk in the experience of this, because there is still a part of you, even in the knowing of what you and the whole family has gained simply through what unwillingly happened beyond your control. There is still a piece of you or a part of you that negotiates, even with the knowingness that you have now. I might change that. So we want to stay in this inquiry, because this inquiry is, it is the experience that we are. It is the purpose that we come into this life to reconcile. It is the isness that we are, that feels so at odds when we are not receiving what we expect to receive. And so this is one small thin layer, and I want Hans, please stay with this because it's going to become part of. We're going to explore in our next Live and Learn the encounter, and that's going to have another frame around it. So keep all your notes from today. This is just the beginning of the way that we're all exploring this. So thank you. Is there someone else who would like to share?
There are several.
We have
people
several.
today.
Great.
So because we haven't heard from this person in this room, I'd like to invite Astrid. Astrid, please unmute.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's actually really weird for me to share anything because I'm not used to participating in anything at all, not just in this group. And it's not because I'm antisocial. I actually love people a lot. It's just because of this very reason that I'm dealing with. So I have lost my confidence in life due to getting harshly bullied for so many years. For 6 years in my country, and then I moved to Canada, and then I thought, oh, everything is over. I'm starting a new life. I can leave everything behind. But I was wrong. I still got bullied here too. So that was a lot of things that I had to work through. But what I gained from it is definitely a lot of wisdom and strength. And I am anyways a very kind person, but I feel like this just made me even more kind and more aware of, like people and like basically how I am right now, because I worked through so much in my life that I wouldn't let people and circumstances control me anymore. Like I don't let anybody treat me the way they used to. So I became aware of my values. So no, I would not trade.
And the third part of this question?
The third part was that would you trade?
No, and I listen, I just want to pause here because Astrid, you're bringing something so huge. And I want us to each, as again, a group of friends, to listen to the experience. I'm going to say, I want us all to listen to God, love, the intelligence, infinite intelligence, energy, light, and information experiencing itself as Astrid. To bring this share, this surrender, and that which came from the unwillingness, we'll say, in a way, to understand bullying. To be bullied is a multiplicity of abuse on so many levels. And as an adult, to have that carry through, not just in your country, but then to attempt to resolve it and move to another country, to have the same confidence and self-worth stripped away again. Why? So Astrid saying she would not trade the abuse that she has endured, the surrendering of her self-confidence in exchange for the gifts that she's received or that which came from that loss. This is a significant quandary of mind and heart. Mind and heart. So the third part.
So so where we are is, so you've identified certain things and you've identified that you would not trade them back because it would be a full trade. Are there things in your life that if you had the opportunity to, you would change? Or has your perspective on that changed now?
Well, I mean, I would not change how everything turned out.
Right. So would you change something? If you were given an opportunity, you look back anywhere in your life and said, I made this choice here. If I could go back, I would not make that choice. You don't have to share what it was, but is there something?
I mean, I just wouldn't let people walk over me.
Okay. And you've also shared with us that you gained something from the experience of people walking over you. So
I did.
now right? Because you found more, you became a kinder person.
Yes, and this is really huge for me because I'm still battling with this to this current day, that I automatically assume that people don't like me, that I'm not enough and I'm not worthy of people even listening to me. But I'm constantly getting out of my comfort zone, and that's why I'm actually speaking up, which is huge. And yeah, I'm doing this because I have to get out of my comfort zone in order to grow. So I've just basically learned to be strong, even if it's uncomfortable.
And that is absolutely beautiful. And all I'm asking, and you can just answer for yourself inside later if you'd like. And I'm just saying that, those are experiences we wouldn't have chosen for ourselves. So maybe if we look back at any of the decisions that we made in life and that we say, well, I really would have liked to have changed that. I'm just suggesting we explore and we say, but did I really gain something from that I wouldn't have if I didn't make that choice? And that's just a question I think we all from today could benefit from looking at in ourselves.
And I'm particularly listening to what came from this, which was you became a kinder person. I want to sit in the reality, at the one reality of the heart, where what you have described would contain that. You've become a kinder person. So there's more here, and I'm so touched, and we are grateful that you feel comfortable enough, Astrid, in this community and in this group of friends to share.
Thank you. I'm getting used to it. So I really appreciate all of you for listening. This is huge for me.
Sis, do we have time for one more?
We do. We're going to see if we can get both of them in, but we'll see. Ufuk, please unmute.
Hello.
Hi.
I will say it was 6 years ago. I had a boyfriend for 6 years. And as I was at my hometown, I couldn't reach him with phone. And then when I went back next day, I could go back to my city. As I entered home, daytime, the lights were on. I already had felt something, and then I found him dead at home. He had a heart attack. And then, of course, I said, oh, I will not have another relationship anymore. It was really very hard for me to find him like that. But then life changed, and the second scene starts here, second loss. I have started to live with his mother. It was their house. She started to live with me, let's say. And then it was after 3 years, I guess. One day I have been writing diaries and poetry since I was 10, 12 years old. And one day when I came home, I found that she has thrown away all my notebooks. It was really, really hard for me. But after that, I learned how to let things go. It helped me in a way. And after that, of course, I moved to another house, etc. But and also my spiritual journey has started after this.
Ufuk, would you
Yeah.
trade the new house, the beginning of a spiritual journey, if you could have your boyfriend back, not have witnessed what you witnessed when you came in,
And
not
your
have,
diaries.
yes, lost the
Oh.
writing? No.
I wouldn't. Of course, I wouldn't.
There's an amazing divine design that sometimes healing brings about the ability to see.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we listen to the words here, they could be confusing in a way because we're hearing significant losses, things taken, lives lost. There is in the second question something that exists that one might call a highly coherently designed architecture. Our feelings and emotions can detour us. Our experiences can detour us. And often this is why we might refer to life as a journey, just for this reason. As we become more aware of our infinite nature, the being that emerges in the midst of chaos, in the midst of unimaginable circumstances, there is an encounter. There is an encounter that happens before we even recognize this architecture. And the road bumps and the drama and the traumas have already dissolved. We no longer view things as if they're being taken away, as we're hearing. And this inquiry is where we are sort of sitting in this very moment as a group of friends. We are being called as an entire planet to look at normal and be in recognition that despite the circumstances, the country, we have lost normal at the hand of something we cannot see, science cannot define. There are many theories and there are many remedies. All circumstances come with a remedy of sort. The finite being ensures that. There is always an entrance and an exit, a coming and a going. So we are looking at what is constant. And it is a listening in a way. Again, I'm so grateful for Renee taking the time to come and share this LNL with us today. Just because the nature of listening comes in this way.
And for those of you who challenged yourself to speak and share when it's outside of your comfort zone. Now, Eleanor, I don't know. I know you've had your hand up for a long time, but I don't know. You have to decide whether this is fair or not. But because we do have to open up to the life leaders soon, if you can truly, ultimately, without much background, bullet point yourself down to 60 seconds or so, we can call on you. Otherwise, we'll have to wait till another time.
And we can carry it
if you're
over a
comfortable.
bit. Again, next week's LNL is a continuation. We're going to look at this
Right.
unseeable, unknowable.
So it'll be your call, Eleanor. What would you like?
Yes.
I can say it. I think I can say something in 60 seconds. 60.
Great. Okay.
Actually, I wanted to be very brief. I just wanted to say that when you proposed the exercise and I started writing down, it is a long list of losses. And they came in waves. The moment I started, it's like open the curtain, close the curtain, these people go, this space goes, this time goes, everything goes, next. And I had to get ready for the next lot of everything, including changes of moves or houses. And every time I gained new people, I gained new places, I gained new experiences, I gained new opportunities, and I gained, most of all, I gained patience and the capacity to accept life.
Beautiful. And we gained you.
Very hard this, you know.
I'm going to say that the capacity to...
This thing I wanted to say, I would not go back. I would not trade what I've gained, I've lost. I would change perhaps one or two things in the way I behaved, in the way I conducted myself, yes, in the way I experienced other people, and in the way I made some people suffer. Yeah, just that.
So you know what? Between now and next time, I want you to explore those things that are coming to mind for you, and then ask yourself, but even those that I would have changed, what did I learn from them, and what did I gain from them in my life? And if I really explore them, am I sure that I would have changed them? And don't share that with us now, but you can share it with us next week. Okay.
I also want to say, Eleanor, that what you expressed in, I'm going to say, the language of the reconnective healing experiences, you expanded your capacity to receive. And this is an integral part to the nature of healing. It is quite delicate as we understand the energy, light, and information experiencing itself again as the embodied being of each one of us. We are the infinite clothed in our daily life. And so as we move through this month, again, next week, we will bring in the notion, and I'm going to let you sit with the theme for next week, the encounter. The encounter. I'd love you to consider throughout the week, if you're going to be with us next week, what does that mean to you? Many of you have had a reconnective healing experience. So, and it doesn't have to be related to a reconnective healing experience. We're not here only to explore reconnective healing or the experience, but we're going to explore this idea of the encounter. And it's woven into what you've also beautifully allowed yourself to experience today in transparency and courage and lots of things. So we're going to touch on that. We're going to go to the life leaders now. Right. For those of you who are familiar who our life leaders are, I just want to frame this because titles come with lots of ideas. And in this way, I want you to understand what is a reconnective life community life leader. These are people who have just chosen in their daily life to unabashedly explore the reconnective healing experience in total freedom and share in their way, in their expression. So this is something that they do within the community. They post this, they create so that they can express their personal relationship with infinite intelligence. So we love them to just climb on in here. We're going to say goodbye.
However, because we are already over time, I just wanted to give everybody the announcements before they begin, so you can stay with us if you're able to, but these are our wonderful life leaders who are about to speak with us. But I do want to remind everyone about Reconnective Yoga with Kelly Woodruff. We're in a 12-week series, a new 12-week series. It's on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and it's so powerful. Please join us if you're able to. The link is in the chat. We also have a global virtual retreat that is beyond the RLC. It is something outside of it, so it's not going to be something included. You do have to register. You can register for free, but I put the link. It's going to be discussing the nature of healing. We're having it on 2 separate days, same topic, but it's going to be on 2 separate days because it's 2 different times. We want to make sure we include everybody around the world in their time zones. So we have a time for our Asia, Oceania areas, and we also have a time for the Americas and Europe. So please go to the chat and take a look at that link. Click on it now so it's in your browser when you are ready to take a deeper look at that and register for it. But in the meantime, I invite and welcome Lula Rivera.
Well, wait. Right before we do, I want to give you all a reminder. Please save your notes. We'll be building over the next, 3 or 4 gatherings. So please keep your notes, if only for yourself, or for these interactions.
And many of you may have come to the conclusion that absolutely you would give back that which you have gained in order to have back that which was taken from you. We will explore that. Christina, thank you for sharing that. And there's more. There's more for us to explore. So there isn't just the yes here in what we're hearing and those that are sharing. There are many ways that we all are understanding this little exercise.
It's rarely a yes or a no
Yes.
as much as it is a discovery.
Yeah.
So, sure. Shall we lead into the life leaders?
We should.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Hi,
everyone. Love and kisses.
Thank you.
Katarina Seidler.
Hi,
Thank
this
you.
is Lula today, and we have for the first time Harry with us, which is a great gift. And first of all, I just want to say that I'm so deeply moved by your sharings and by how we exchange and explore together. I think it's something really big I received from losing the normal with COVID. This community and the way we connect. So this is the first thing that I just wanted to share. And maybe Harry and Lula, what is like the main thing that comes up to your head now that we've experienced this together?
Well, for me, losing normal is absolutely wonderful because my entire upbringing of conditioning, you've got to be normal, and then all my struggles and trials, and then finding the reconnection, the losing normal and not being normal. I know I am normal. What is normal? You know what I mean? So I don't know in words if I can explain it. It's just this this knowingness and awareness of who I am, and I'm glad that we're. Go ahead.
Is this something that for you is related with reconnective healing?
Well, I'm kind of when we did our little exercise, I'm still in that. My ex-husband, I don't think I would ever want to be back with him ever, but I'm glad that we were together because I learned how to be strong, and I don't know, I'm confused right now. I'm just in this moment of, I know what I want to say, but I can't say it.
Well, why don't we let Harry?
Yes, please, Harry.
His main thought, and I feel the intensity of your emotions, Lula, and
yeah, I'm really.
I think this is something probably many people here share, where like I felt so much sadness in your sharings, of what we've lost, in the pain we've endured. So let's just feel and receive the sadness, receive the emotion, and I would love to know, Harry, what your main takeaway is.
Well, I first of all think it's really beautiful, and for me it's really amazing that a group of like strangers who are maybe not strangers, that they feel so free and comfortable to share this these deep stories. And I think that's a healing in itself, right? So for me that really jumps out. Like, what did we gain when I listened to all these stories, and especially I have to say to Lexi's story, because Barbara said it really nice in the chat, that we all gained from Lexi's story, but from all these stories, because I think that's a huge gain when we can talk about this, and we can see in hindsight that well, I don't want to say that it was worth it, but that we wouldn't change it. So to me, that says a lot.
You know, that that really hit me over the head. Like everybody here said, I wouldn't change it. So we weren't even talking about healing in the sense of, you know, healing, we do a session, we hope for something. So we were just talking about how the process of life is set out to be healing, becoming more of ourselves, more, and many people said it's spiritual growth. That in itself is healing. And then maybe reconnective healing can speed this up, make it more intense, help us in the process, help us resist less. But for me, this was like it just hit me. Wow, life itself is healing. And that's it. It's so simple.
Yeah.
There's no escape, right?
Yeah, we have to heal. That's true. You know, I loved your question, Lula. What's even normal? And for a long time, I observed that we didn't even talk about normal. We just talked about loss. And then I thought, well, we consider normal what we're used to, what we expect, what other people do too. And then it changes, and it's a loss in many ways, because it's different and because we don't want it. We resist the experience. And so I think that for me, this like all connects to reconnective healing, because it just teaches me to receive the experience however it is. Like even when it's pain, I can receive, even when it's fear, even when, because I don't have to label it. And I thought that's this question of what's normal, and why do we suffer so much, or why is it so hard to overcome? Why does it produce sadness, even just retelling the things we've lost? I don't know. It's just it really moves me how much courage we have as human beings, and how much ease we can receive in the experience, in the reconnective healing experience. How is that for you, Harry?
I think there was a lot of people share that they gained compassion, and surrender. And I think that especially now when we are like losing normal, that these are very good qualities to have and to feel. And maybe these are natural qualities. And
I love that.
I guess we'll see in hindsight, right? Like with all the stuff we lost, in hindsight, it was worth it. So yeah. Now we'll see.
Absolutely.
You know what? We have had such beautiful sharing in depth, and we look sometimes for this depth, and sometimes it gets disguised because we overlook the lightness. So let me share that, I'm not always, not that I pretend to be anyway, the evolved being that some of you might choose to imagine if you're blind. But we had moved, out here fairly recently, and I opened a box. I had in my mind, I was looking forward to a specific little table and a specific green vase that I wanted on that table for a certain place. And I looked and I finally found it. And the vase was thick and heavy and dense, and I loved it. And somehow it was one of the only items that had broken, I mean, irreparably. And, you know, it was like, it bugged the shit out of me. And I was a little sad about it. And I wanted to be in that space for a moment, but I needed to be in it for a moment instead of just going, oh, well, it's just an object, you know, take it. I didn't go there. I went to the loss, even though it was just a perceived loss of something seemingly lightweight. And it took a moment for me to release. If I were going to pick an item from the things that I shipped, that wouldn't be the only one I, you know, wouldn't have let go of, but I wouldn't have chosen that one to break. I was so looking forward to it. And yet I learned from it the intensity that I can, or the attachment that I can add to an object and to a light situation compared to these stories we've been sharing. And how long I need to hold on to that. I mean, that was something that, you know, would have stayed with me for 20 minutes and in discussion would have stayed with me, you know, ended up staying with me for about an hour. And in letting that go, that's not been my nature throughout life. I realized that that vase was far more valuable than it was whole, because it gave me an insight, and I would not take that vase back now and trade for what I learned about myself from it. So we don't always have to look for the largest losses in life to find some of the largest gifts. I thought I'd share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sure. So thank you, everyone, and especially, or additionally, I should say, you three life leaders for sharing your insights with us. And Jillian and I are very much looking forward to the unfolding along this kind of a topic theme, let's say, over the next few weeks gatherings. We really are.
Yep. So we'll see you soon throughout the week. Feel free to get in the chat. If you're part of the RLC, the Facebook RLC is a very private page. Just know that it is that is a membership only page, and just know you're in a group of friends. I think if anything we have valued most about the embryonic birthing of the first community for the reconnection, it's that we are a group of friends, and we love you and feel beloved by you. So we'll see you soon, and have a beautiful few days ahead. And thank you.
Have a beautiful week. We'll see you all soon. Mwah. Love you.